I'm Dylan Goodson, and we're going to be doing relief carving. And when I do a pictorial scene like this, I normally either take a photograph or do a drawing, and I'll generally make my drawing and scan it into the computer so that I can then resize it and print it out on plastic transparency film. And I just lay the pattern on top of the piece of wood, and it's very convenient because the pattern is the same size as a piece of wood. And then you can use all sorts of different kinds of things to scrape the ink off of, because the ink is on this side right here. And I use a regular straight cutting bit. You could use one of those fancy spiral cutting bits, and I'm sure that would work just fine, but that's what straight cutting bit is what I have, and it'll do everything you need. Okay, so if you don't have a plunge router or don't want to use a plunge router, you can rough this out by hand. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways, a couple different techniques for doing that. And you probably will want to have a mallet. It makes the work go a lot faster. And there's two different ways to do this. You can do a stop cut that's straight down. To start with, it'll be a similar process for these trees. We just want to clean them up a little bit and roll the top of them over as well. And again, I'm using the number 2 upside down here. And I'm going to work my way back. Because again, we want a smooth transition from nothing here down to our depth on the edge. I want to go down about half the depth that I've got here. That way I can make it as round looking as possible. It gives it the most depth and dimension. And I've got this in here at a pretty good angle to make a nice deep undercut so that it really stands up off of the carving. It gives it a lot more depth. And just kind of work it slowly, you know, don't try and go too deep. Undercut that. And if we had undercut this before we textured it, the edge would have been real fragile and it would have wanted to break off real badly. And that's why I like to undercut the tree line after it's been textured. Always try and keep it where you're carving with the grain so that it doesn't tear out too badly on you. Sometimes if you start going the wrong way a little bit too much, and all of the texture that you try and put on here just will crumble and break off. There, and then I'll just take the number 2 and take the pencil off the top of it. So you want to kind of go with a thin coat right here in these areas.